In this lesson, we're going to turn this photograph, kind of a silly photograph that friends of mine, we took on one of our photo nights, um, of me with lightning coming out of my fingertips. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a mock movie poster out of it. So it'll be kind of fun. Anyway, the first thing we need to do with this is that understand that this is composition is made up of several parts here. And what we want to do, since we know that this is already taken care of, we don't want to make any changes to this, then we're going to go ahead and just flatten this layer. So I'm going to right click on the background layer and go down to flatten image. Alright, then I'm going to go up here to the top, file, and I'm going to create a new image. Alright, and I'm going to do this in pixels. Now, I already know predetermined what size I want to make this. This is not magic, it's just something that I came up with, and this is what I want. I want the width of this to be in pixels. I want it to be 1013 wide, and then I want the height to be 1500. The resolution 72 is perfectly fine, so I'm going to say OK. Now I have that background like I wanted. And on this background, I'm going to go ahead and create a new blank layer. And on that blank layer, I'm going to just fill it with my foreground color, which is black. So that's Alt Backspace on the keyboard. That fills that with the color that I need. And then I'll go over to my other composition, and I'm just going to grab this picture here. So I'm going to go Control J so that I have something to grab, and I will click and drag this to the other composition, and then I'm going to hold Shift on my keyboard to center it inside the composition, and I'll let go. And as you can see, this is much bigger than my canvas is. So what I need to do is transform that so that the picture is centered inside of my composition the size that I wanted. On the keyboard, I'll go Control T for transform, and notice the only thing you're going to see different when you're in this close is maybe this little center mark change for you. Another indication is if you go up here to the top, you can see you've got this Buster sign and then the check sign. I need to be able to see the handles so that I can actually resize or transform this image. So to do that, a simple way, rather than going in and zooming out, I can just on my keyboard just hold Control and click 0, and that will get me out to where I can see all of the handles. Then I want to bring this in proportionally, so I have to hold the Shift, and I also want to bring it so that everything comes to the middle. So I'll hold Alt, and then I'll grab one of the corners and I'll just size that in. And I'm just going to move this over a little bit, maybe down right there. I'm going to hold the Shift and the Alt again and just make it a little bit larger. And once I've done that on my keyboard, I can push Enter to save that transformation. And then I'm going to push Z on the keyboard and for zoom, and I'm going to zoom into my composition, and I can see that that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to get rid of some of these really harsh edges that I have here. So I want to create a layer mask that will allow me to just melt some of that into the background, into this black background. So on that layer, when I select that layer, I can come down here to the bottom of the layers palette and click on Add Layer Mask. And you can see my layer mask is here. It's selected. It's white. So I need to paint on that with black. And my foreground color is black. If it was not, I could just push X on my keyboard to toggle it to the front. But that's what I'm looking for. Push B for brush. I want to make sure my brush is pretty soft, and it is. I want to make it a pretty good size because I really want to just use the outermost edges of my brush here. as you can see, to kind of take off some of that edge there. I'm holding the space bar while I click and just drag, since I am zoomed in this close. That way I don't have to zoom in and out. So I'm just using my hand tool, that is the space bar, and click. And I'm going to knock off some of this bottom of my belly with that layer mask. And I'm painting on that layer mask with black is all I'm doing. I'm not erasing, I'm not painting with black. I'm just painting with black on the layer mask itself. Now the beauty of that is that now, let's say I took too much of this belly off. Whenever I just go to white, toggle white, I can put that right back on. I'm not actually erasing anything, I'm just covering it up with the layer mask. So I go back to X and I can just paint that right back in. My X is toggling back and forth with my foreground and background color, which in this case are black and white. Okay, in the next movie, we will start putting this composition together by using some text and also using some special effects.